good afternoon po, Mr. Tinsay. We'll be asking you a few questions now for academic purposes po. Some of the goals that we have for this interview is to identify the process of disseminating information to the public, to learn more about how media influences the masses and identify the role in shaping the way people think, and to draw a fine line between what is the truth and the lie. So, for the first, we'll have like a few introductory questions now. Okay, so how long have you been working in the news industry?
Well, I started out way back in 1983. I worked first in radio. That is the Far East Broadcasting Company, DZAS and DZFE in Valenzuela. I worked there for 3 years before I transferred to Channel 7. When I applied for Channel 7, I was taken in first as a radio announcer for DZBB and once Giant Radio, the Giant, LSWLS. And then I applied for TV News. I was taken by Tina Palma, first as a reporter, and then later on as a anchor for live news, breaking news. And I got to produce the hourly news segment for GMA News, and then I became a news manager, and I was discovered by Tina Monson Palma. I became an announcer. I became a news presenter, a newscaster for 11:30 report and for 24 Horas, together with Helen Vela and Mike Lacanalao. So and after that, I ran for senator with the party of Brother Eddie Villanueva, Bangon ng Pilipinas. So I didn't know that if you run, you will be required to resign so as not to use your media influence to be fair, equal. I lost. A good thing I lost because I'm not really, I didn't realize that it was very expensive to run for a public office, especially on a national level. And also, and then when I lost, we were not allowed to work immediately. Okay, and I was taken in by Lucy Cruz Valdez to do their teleradio for TV, Radio 5, TV5. I was given a show, Action Solution, public service show on Radio 5, and Metro Sabado, a weekend program. And also I was taken in as a regular co-host of the 700 Club. Have you seen that on midnight? It's a religious show. And I also do shows for Zoe Broadcasting, Channel 33 Light Network. And on the side, I am a motivational speaker. I do seminars on public speaking, on excellence, and I'm also a pastor. I also do evangelistic crusades.
Okay, thank you.
All in all, I've been in broadcast for 37 years.
Wow.
I used to be the audition master of Channel 7. Almost all the successful newscasters that you see now, they were under my wing. Among them, Karen Davila, Bernadette Sembrano, Julius Babao, and many others, Jiggy Manigat, all of them, I mentored them.
So you've been working in this field for such a long time. What inspired you to work in this field?
I really like to be in the news because have this fascination to be an announcer. Even when I was young, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a disc jockey. That's why my first job was. Even though I was I started out as a TV script writer, radio news script writer, because there was no opening for this jockey. But later on, because I was practicing so much, even though I was not the anchor then, I was practicing always in front of the mirror, because my goal really is to be able to grab the to be able to present myself ready when the opportunity comes. So when my boss told me that, Alex, we have a problem, your main anchor cannot come. So
The opportunity.
so I said, I've been waiting for this, sir. That's how I got a break.
Okay, alright. So, what are the different disciplines that you that are involved in your field of work
Well,
as a reporter?
to be a reporter, you should develop the discipline by way of, first of all, you should have a goal. You ask yourself whether am I for this, because we work at hours. Sometimes we work in the field and we work under the sun. Before you come back to the office, you have to show that you've done your work. Otherwise, you cannot come back empty-handed, and you are not supposed to miss the news events. Let's say your boss sends you to welcome Typhoon Yolanda in a certain place where it's going to land. You have to be there on time and say hello to Yolanda live.
Welcome it here.
That's the risk of the job.
Okay, yeah.
So you have to be very disciplined. You also have to take care of yourself, because sometimes we get embedded into war zone.
It's dangerous.
So nobody would tell you to keep safe. It's your own lookout. So they say that's what separates the men from the boys.
Oh, okay.
I know of a lady reporter was sent to Malawi, and when there was firing already, she asked her mom to get her home, to take her.
Okay.
So she did not finish the coverage because she was scared. There were bullets flying all around.
Yeah.
And it was really dangerous.
Okay. So, are these just one of your few experiences, like Typhoon Yolanda, where you?
I have experienced it all, because I've been in 36 years.
Wow, yes.
I've been in coup d'etats, I've been shot at, I've been hailed to court.
Wow.
I've been trapped in out there in the fields, whether it's storm, whatever, everything. You will experience it all, but not all are the worst experiences. Sometimes you get to be with the delegation of the president.
Wow.
You go to different countries. You are treated first class,
Yes.
VIP, diplomatic. You eat almost every day in top hotels free. There are also perks of the job.
Yes.
And of course, when you get to be assigned abroad, there's the overtime is very, shall we say, you are well rewarded.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
So you reach after 1 week, 2 weeks of your coverage.
Yes. Okay. So, Dai has another few questions.
And I know this a lot. Did you feel that there was a difference between writing the news and actually reporting?
Of course, writing the news and experiencing the news as it unfolds, as it happens, it's two different worlds. Because in writing, you're just there in the office. But when you get out there and you be the one telling the story, I'll tell you, it's very satisfying. And you sense all the tension, the dangers, and when it's all over, you're glad you have you came back alive.
So, between writing and actually reporting the news, which one do you prefer more?
With me, you don't get to, you don't really get to choose because you will have to go all through this. Because if you are a reporter, you have to write your own reports, and then you get to tell your reports, present your reports. So, writing is basic in journalism, because you cannot just do, extemporaneous. But I do it. I did it all the time because I do live reporting, and that is one skill that I really mastered, the extemporaneous one, because I teach public speaking, and the key to public speaking is confidence, and you have to overcome your stage fright.
That's really new. It's a really required skill.
And I teach that.
Okay.
Any more?
So my next question is, in this...
I don't know about anything about dancing.
Oh. It's not about that.
Okay.
About reporting.
So it's about reporting now, boss. So is there a decision-making process when it comes to what news to report on? So, what do you consider relevant and what do you consider not relevant?
Well, you just given the parameters. That's the parameter. What you consider relevant.
Yes.
There are sources of news, like, for example, the events that happen. The criteria is if it's important to as many number of people, then that's news. But if it's between you two, you and your boyfriend, that's private. But if you stab each other, that's news. See? And also when it is an odd news, like for example, dog bites. They always bite. They bite people. But when a man bites a dog, that's news. Something like
Very
that.
peculiar.
Very peculiar.
Yeah.
And of course, tragedy, storm victims, calamity, and what else? Celebrities. They are also
Their
sources of news because they have followers.
Yes.
And news people. When I say news people, President Duterte, every time he opens his mouth, that's news.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Very true.
Politicians. When somebody runs naked in a concert, that's news. But you really get to choose which is important. Like for example, if it affects the nation, then that's headline news. When Duterte says that we will change the form of our government, that's headline news. When a great natural calamity strikes the nation and the damage is amounting to billions, that's headlines. Okay, when a top government official gets ambushed, that's big news. Okay? Or when somebody is sent to jail, a VIP person is sent to jail.
So basically, it's anything that affects or concerns the public, like
Yes.
the welfare of the public. Exactly.
Yes.
So, with your time in like GMA and TV5 and all the other news outlets you've been to, do you think the decision-making process of what makes news relevant differs among these outlets?
Well, in the television industry, there are networks that for every television network, they have the entertainment, they have the news department. For the news department, our table of organization is such that we have people in the technical, the cameraman, they set up the electronic van that there's camera there, there's editing, and then we have a cameraman aside from the technical cameraman. with the team. Usually we have different teams. It consists of a reporter, a sound man, sound engineer, and a driver. So all of us, we are assigned into different beats. The beats are, the basic is a police beat. Everybody has to go through the beat. A man, a girl, boy. Everybody has to experience the different shifts, including the dreaded graveyard shift, where most of the news are crimes and not so attractive to be. But you have to go through the process, and then later on, sometimes you get to be assigned in the entertainment. Then you get to be assigned in Senate, Ombudsman. I went through all that, but the top wherein you are rewarded as a veteran, you will be assigned to the Malacanang Press Corps, where you get to report on the president and get to see the president, talk to the president one-on-one, because you have a press corps, you have officers, and you get to go with the president. So, having that in mind, the different process is that the reporter will present what are his most likely sources of news and what are the possible news, because you have to research, like when it's May, the most important event in May is Labor Day. And usually there are rallies because laborers, they always ask for increasing pay high. And sometimes there's violence, because they want to, they want to land in the headlines. So sometimes they themselves, they initiate the violence. Yes. They fight with the riot police.
It's violent.
Will there be a time when these outlet owners and their affiliations, there will be advice that can be developed in relaying the news?
Of course, the owners will not admit that there's a bias. But it's a business. So they have to, to make it fair by all means. But you know very well that
it can't always be.
It can't always be that way, because they also have to protect their own interests.
Yes.
So can you say this is true for most major news outlets?
I can only speak for myself. But I guess this situation also applies to everybody else. But one good thing about my station, I've never experienced the top management. I heard in some that they will call you if they will call your attention if you have made a comment regarding regarding the business. I haven't experienced that.
So would you say that you have to keep a neutral opinion towards the issues that you're reporting on?
Yes, you have to, because that's supposed to be the news. To be in the news means that you're neutral. That's why we cannot join rallies, because you betray your profession. One of the ethics in news is that you should be on the neutral ground. You should be able to interview the enemy, the warring parties, both the combatants, not only the soldiers, but also the enemy. It's like Red Cross. Because if, let me just explain. Because if it seems that you are biased towards the soldier or towards the enemy, it's not news anymore. It becomes propaganda, because you are helping their cause. You're one-sided. So we avoid that. That's why if we interview somebody on a certain topic or issue, we have to get both sides. Like for example, a labor issue, we have to interview the company owner and the worker who is making his grievance.
My question is,
dissemination of news through social media sites?
My stand. Do I have to make a stand? Well, really, that's the issue now, because a lot of people, they would rather depend on the social media to get the news, because we are now in the internet age. We are techno savvy, like us millennials. No, but what I'm saying is, there should not really be a conflict, because the traditional news sources like the TV networks, the radio, they were there for longer. They existed even before us. So what I'm trying to say is, these traditional news sources, they have proven themselves to be dependable, because they have invested in the business. Okay, they wouldn't want the reputation to be destroyed or tarnished. So they make it a point that they keep their integrity intact. Now, the social media, you have no control really, because everybody can just say this is the truth. So this is where the fake news proliferated, because you could not control. But you just have to use your discernment, because sometimes, when you look at the news in the Facebook, sometimes the people are there on the ground. So it could also be possible that they have a measure of truth in what they're trying to tell you. So you just have to filter out which you think is credible or not. See, it depends on different side or different claims of the story. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Are you satisfied?
That actually answered one of our few later questions.
Okay, so number 7.
So, do you agree that there should be some sort of filter or censorship going on when someone posts news on social media sites, even if it restricts their freedom of speech?
Who will do the filtering? No, I mean it's up for the netizens to because nobody would do that. You have to do that filtering in yourself, because sometimes we could be very vulnerable, because someone will just, like for example, every day we encounter news that so and so is already dead. He committed suicide, but it turned out that it's a fake news. That's why you have to like with us, the way we do it is that we verify it through the hospital sources whether that person really died, because otherwise some relatives or friends, is there inside the emergency, I heard he died already, but you have to verify.
Yeah.
So the next thing for you to verify is you go to the doctors, because they will be the ones to tell you. It happened already during my watch in my previous network, because there was this beautiful girl, daughter of a socialite, who was shot in a disco, and then it was a headline story, and she was comatose, but one of our reporters, it relayed to us that she already expired. So there was a news anchor who was telling telling the news about her, and suddenly it was relayed to her that she died. So she said, I'm sorry, I was telling to you about this news. The girl had already expired, so our condolences. And somebody called, and she was very angry. She said, no, she's not yet dead.
Oh my gosh.
From the family. So she said, we will sue you. See, that is why we have to verify from many sources before you really say that, oh, it's confirmed. It's a matter of confirmation. Like when a guy is arrested or when the fighting is over, especially in a war in Malawi, a lot of people thought that the war was already over because it seems that the battle is not intense as before. And suddenly they went near the place, no? Just they wanted to go back to their homes. Suddenly they were fired at because the enemy are still there.
So it's really important that your resources you have a lot of resources.
Yes.
Next question.
So, what are your responsibilities as a news reporter given the gravity of your influence in the masses?
Well, your responsibility is to always dig out the truth. And it's a very big responsibility because when you interview someone, you should also try to figure out. Like for example, if I'm interviewing her about a certain issue, I will also study her expression if she's really telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you ask trick questions. You do like that because as a reporter, you're not supposed to believe hook, line, and sinker whatever she says. Because I have interviewed a suspect who admitted to me that he just killed the suspect in a crime that I covered. And then later on, when I interviewed him again after a day, he said he did not do it. He forgot that I was the same reporter and he talked to him. And I had it on video. That's why he cannot lie.
So to expand more on the fake news.
Fake news.
So as a reporter or a news writer, what is your opinion regarding fake news?
Well, right now, that's the main issue about the fake news. We don't want fake news. So we really have to be discerning of what a fake news is. So we all go back to the verification process. We don't just believe any group that espouses to claim to have the truth, because everybody is saying now, no, we are hear us, we have the truth. The other side will claim they are the truth. So you have to study these people. Do they have integrity, or because sometimes there are yung people who whistleblower to the crime, and later on they take back what they say. So of course you can figure out that maybe there are money changed hands, or they could have been bribed to say it. So you just have to use your sense of judgment.
It's all in the gut.
Have you had any personal encounter with fake news?
And besides the suspect.
Beside the suspect,
Yeah. Like how really
a
big.
lot. And I just use my judgment.
Yeah.
Oh, when did this happen? Did you see the crime? It's just like in court, when you ask this supposedly witness to the crime, you just ask him, were you there? Do you have personal knowledge? Or just somebody told me. I was there for a while. So you just have to really verify it by asking. And if it's telephone, you have to really go to the source. You have to really interview her. Because sometimes even if she denies, you will know that she's hiding something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you did not commit the crime, but I can see that there's blood in your shirt. Something like that, yeah.
So you mentioned that social media, like with the rise of social media, that was like one of the main causes for the rise of fake news. Yeah. So why do you think that Filipinos are so quick to believe everything that they hear?
Well, I wouldn't say it in a general sense of the word. No, you cannot just generalize because there are also people like millennials now. They are very discerning.
Yeah.
But there are people who, especially, let's just say those who are in the what do you call this, in the margins, those in the depressing areas. Or imagine they always vote for the wrong people, so they are easily persuaded, so that's why I cannot say that we are quick to believe. But the main I think the point that you're trying to say is that we could avoid this fake news if every one of us would just just use our discernment before
Believing
yes,
whatever.
before jumping into the conclusion.
Earlier you mentioned nga that you have to use your discernment when it comes to judging fake news. But how do you personally use your influence as a reporter to combat fake news?
Well, in my case, I will just I will not believe what they say, so I will always go to the source. If it's a crime, I will not just rely on the report of any policeman, but the one who investigated the case. Because sometimes they can also change their story. But as a reporter, I know for a fact that every crime that is reported, they put it in blotter. So you have to investigate. Yeah, sir, can I see the blotter of the incident? It will tell you the truth. Because sometimes they don't show the blotter. Sometimes they erase the name of the suspect, so it could go scot-free. So something like that. You do the investigation. That's being a reporter. You dig out the facts. That's why for us anchors, news anchors, sometimes when we guest people, so I try to come up with hard questions so that you will know by the expression of and by the words it's saying, even the audience, they will know if he's lying already. Okay, so we don't just ask yes or no questions.
So, as netizens po, are there other things aside from discernment? Are there more concrete things that we could do to combat fake news?
Yes.
What?
Don't believe fake news. And then you tell people not to believe these guys. Because they're the same people eh. They've been paid to come up with propaganda.
But a lot of people have really strong, they have strong groundings on what they believe in already because they've already been persuaded to believe what they wanted to believe. So how do you make people see that what they're actually believing is fake news?
Well, it's a progressive thing, what you believe now, later, and if you are presented with the evidence, it will change your mind. So you just have to dig some more facts. Like, for example, let's say this politician is saying that he came up with these projects, and then later on you found out that he was the one who also involved in a former corruption case. So you just have to dig out the facts. Because, right now, we have this, it's like crisis PR. Like when you are, for example, if you're drug in a scandal, like say drug scandal, and you're a candidate, you will hire a crisis PR.
To check all your dirty laundry.
Yes, so they would, even if really you are a drug lord, let's say, and then you wanted to look clean.
Yeah.
So they will say that They will come up with certain activities, like they will project you as a philanthropist. You're helping people. So, so maybe you can admit a little of your, well, it's in the past. And you see, I have repented and I am now holy.
So what would you say is the most significant thing you learned while working in this field?
I learned everything in this trade. I learned a lot. If you are a media man, wherever you go, you will be successful because you will become knowledgeable. You will be, when you are exposed to people, you can easily spot a difference if he's lying or not. Everything, you learn everything if you're a media man. But it's also hard. It's also hard because of the pressure. Like if you want to be in the media, you have to sacrifice. You have to have a goal. You have to be determined. You cannot be choosy. Like when you're assigned in Marawi, you cannot say, I don't like it here, there's no Wi-Fi. But it's very exciting and dangerous too. But I know a lot of women, they're even more successful because I think one advantage of women in the media is you can charm your way to an interview. Yeah, even Duterte, if she's a beautiful reporter, what is your network? Yeah, really, that's the advantage.
You have to use all your
Assets.
Like for example, ito, ano na lang, ano ba to?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, yun. Diba? They will shower you with gifts and then, or you can just say, just tell me the truth.
All about connection.
So this is for our last question po. Before we end, what are your last words po for those people aspiring to become
Last
journalists?
words, I'm not dying yet. I still intend on reaching 100 years old.
Your message
For those who aspire to become journalists or news reporters.
Oh, well, that's a great career. It's a great thing to be in the media. It thrusts you into the limelight. Sometimes you feel like a celebrity, and it's really very exciting for those who are gregarious person, like you like talking to people. But it's also for those who or you are introvert because you just have to try and later on, or you just go out of your comfort zone. It's really wonderful. For me, if you ask me if I have, what would I be if I'm not a newscaster, a host, I cannot think of anything else because this is my dream. And I feel that every day when I talk on TV, when I go out there and do commentary, and I just feel like I'm living my dream. It's so easy, yeah. Because I cannot imagine myself to be in the office doing 8 to 5. Oh, yeah. I cannot. One time I was assigned as a news desk. It's part of the rotation of the job. I can't stand it. I'm always in the canteen.
Trying to avoid the cubicle work.
Yeah. But when I'm in the field, I like it because you get to go places for free. You get to ride in helicopters. Yeah. I've ridden in a Learjet, and because I was with a high government official, we visited a tribe in Mindanao. It's kind of a sentimental journey, and we were treated like kings. We had people offering us food, and there's a pan with water. You're just like a king.
So every day is an experience.
Yes. It's a wonderful experience it's wonderful to be alive.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially if you're passionate about your career. That's why don't get stuck up with a career that just has been pushed on you. Why don't you try this? And if you really have passion for it, do it.
do what you love.
Oh,
what you do.
and don't ever seek a career only for the money. That's not good. You should have the passion for it, and something that could help a lot of people.
Thank you so much for answering our questions. Yes, okay. This ends our interview.
Yes.
Thank you so much for answering our
You're
questions. Thank you so
welcome.
much for your time.